Hello guys, my name is Sarah and welcome to a brand new video on this channel. This video is not sponsored. First of all, before we start, I just want to say I am not a professional and I have no idea what am I talking about here. This is just my personal experience. Actually, it does sound kinda better when I say I am a professional, so more people will watch this video. Scrap what I just said, I am a fully professional artist that will just review these markers. Today, as a professional artist, we are reviewing Touchfive markers, which is a year-old review of the markers I'm using for all of my illustrations, because I got these markers a year ago for Christmas. So this is a pretty old review. This is what the marker looks like, and it's upside down. I got my markers in an 80 set for $40 on eBay, and the shipping was completely free. I got mine in white barrel, but there is also black barrel. You can choose whichever you want, just don't be racist. Also, my set was the animation set, because I found myself most comfortable with that set. There is also landscape, fashion, and many others from which you can choose from. On one end they have a fine point, and on the other they have a chisel nib or a broad point. No brush nib, but I'd never used a marker with a brush nib, so I can't really say anything about it. These markers are alcohol based, which practically means they can blend and they will not ruin your paper. Speaking of the paper, please, if you do purchase these markers, do not use the printer paper, because then these markers will bleed a lot, and they will feather a lot. You don't even have to use the marker paper, just use some paper a little thicker than the printer paper, please. These markers have their names printed on the caps. This one is 85 Vivid Purple. They also have a square barrel, which means they won't roll away that far if you drop them, which is also very good because I'm clumsy AF. I have made some swatches for you all. This is a swatch from a year ago when I first got my markers. This is a swatch from like 10 minutes ago. You can see that some colors did get lighter because they evaporate and stuff. Chemistry 101 with Sarah. For example, the dark blue light color and the pale blue color are these. So they're like pale purples. Yeah, they don't even show up on this paper. But all the colors kind of seem the same. Maybe just a little lighter on the chart on the left, but pretty much really good. They do not really remove from the paper that easily. Which brings me to my next point, they do not feather and they do not bleed a lot. Sure, you need to use a paper from behind so you don't mess up your desk or something, but all in all they do not bleed that much. One printer paper below your illustration and that should be enough to keep them from bleeding. And as the feathering goes, they do not feather that much, which is great. These markers also do not smear the line art, which I will just show you. Obviously you need to let the line art dry just a little bit, because if the liner is still wet, that it doesn't have any right to blend the marker, because the ink pen was still wet. They also blend pretty well, which I will just show you on this example in the blends of these markers. If you want, you can pause and see which ones they are. Also, please do keep in mind, these are a year old, which is a lot of a lifespan for an alcohol-based marker. So if some of these are worn out and are running out, you know why, because a year, man. Here is a gradient I just made, and I have to say I like this, because obviously I just worked on this for like a minute, but you can make really great blendings with these markers. Now I'm just gonna go over this writing I did, and you can see it doesn't really affect the line art. If you are interested, I'm using Unipin fine liners. They are very cheap, as I said. They are $40 for a pack of 80, which is pretty cheap for alcohol-based markers, because 40 bucks, you may get 5 Copics for that. I'm not sure. Don't purchase Copics, but I think you'll get 5 or 6 Copics. And here you get 80 markers, which is great. So it's time for the cons. The worst part of my job. This is my favorite skin tone, and it's the Skin White 131, and I use it a lot, and the label wipes out. As you can see on the top, there is no label anymore, which is kinda a bummer, but that's okay. Also, the tip gets ruffled after the time. This is the one that I use for shading the skin tones, and you can see the tip is kinda bad. It's kinda ruffled, and it's kinda worn out. Some caps do not match their swatches. Let me go back to my trusty chart here. This is the light pink, number 138. Here it is. This is kinda nothing like the photo. This is more of a purple side, this is more of a pink side, like a bright pink. 101, yellow ochre. That's not yellow, is it? That's okay, just make a swatch. All in all, with these markers, I would say they are definitely worth it if you're a beginner. If you are a Copic user and you want to switch, I do not recommend these because Copics are much better than any markers out there. Definitely purchase these markers, just get some better paper and make yourself a swatch, people. Thank you so much for watching this video. I've been Saren, and I'll see you later. Bye bye!